Well, as we think back and look back here at an old promo and the evolution of one Daniel Bryan, we were kind of thinking about, oh, they actually put this on a DVD, and looking at this being a kind of a backstage segment. It was probably kind of a throwaway segment as a lead up, as a build to a match. I want to go back to some of the promos here in this next segment here. These promos that for me essentially created this and gave life to this next group of wrestlers. This was at a time where .com, WWE.com, wasn't quite what it is. It's not, it was more used as a throwaway piece. It was for headlines. Nowadays, everything lives on social media. It's very accessible. It's very instant. At the time, I think this group built their identity almost in secrecy, almost shrouded in secrecy.
I think I know where we're going.
I know, you guys know where I'm going. So I'm gonna let it go. But this video this promo will encapsulate a certain area of this group that gave them a personality and eventually turned them into true superstars. This is from 2015. This is a backstage interview.
Guys, we are only days removed from Kofi's loss.
What are you talking about? What? Mojo. You understand when you go toe-to-toe with the beast and you survive, that's a win. You want to talk about the past? We don't talk about the past. We talk about the now and the future. Now, we just beat the Lucha Dragons. Talk about that in the present, because it's a gift. A gift to PTP to see what they're going to go through at Battleground when we get back our tag team championships. Right. How dare you, Josephine? You're trying to fire us up. You're trying to make us angry. But we will not fall into your traps. You know why? Because we have the
Straight
power.
preaching. Straight preaching.
Right.
Positivity. That's right. You know what we're going to do right now? We're going to show you what we like to do on a nightly basis.
I
We're going to give you a
remember
little...
this. I remember this.
Put your hands off the microphone right now. Here it is. Follow this man. There it is. You can learn. You can watch and learn how it's done.
So good.
And a 1, and a 2, and a 3. New Day Rocks. New Day Rocks. New Day Rocks. Let me hear you. Say it! You smiling though. You smiling. That's right. The power of positivity. That's where it's in your body. It compels you. You're not ready for the clap. You're not ready. You're not ready for the clap. You're not ready. No. Look at you. POP. Hold it down. Yeah. Hold it down. Yeah. You're like a little big Yeah, girl. Yeah, girl. Look at you. You better work on that. You better get to work, little bird. I got bird.
Bird is a word.
The bird is a word.
Dude, I watched that clip so many damn times, man.
Yes!
I watched that so many times. That was one of
So
my
good.
favorites, bro. So, man.
Dude, all those .com clips, man. It was just like, they're money. Just put them on TV every time.
Yeah, definitely.
What stuck out to you? So having seen the clip quite a few times, what kind of, like, as you're reminiscing at this moment,
Man, you could tell that those three just have fun together. They legit, genuinely enjoy each other's presence, and that comes beaming off of that screen. And around that time, they weren't even really they were getting the push at this point.
Right.
But prior to it, all you saw, I mean, once the New Day was debuted, we were all like, what the hell is this? There are three preachers, and the vignette was super Kurt Franklin stompish. And we were just like, what the hell is this? And then you saw Big E with his preacher handkerchief. That was his gimmick at the beginning.
Yeah.
With New Day, he would wrestle with his handkerchief like a pastor, a Southern pastor, and swipe his sweat. And it was just like, what the hell are y'all doing? But they made fun of it, and they had fun with each other. And on WWE.com segments like that, that's what got a lot of us involved and enjoying it. And from there, it just took off, man. Like, I still remember that SummerSlam when they won the titles, and Kofi was like doing some kind of weird hop off of his ass on the mat to celebrate. Yeah. And I was in stitches. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And New Day's my favorite now. So
Oh, I love it.
yeah, man. Yeah.
Greg, how did you experience the New Day as they were kind of coming up, and
Oh
maybe through
man.
this clip too?
So I loved Kofi. Like
Definitely.
boom, boom, Kofi.
Hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so and I always felt like, man, he just needs something. He needs something. And I like Xavier because I remember him with Consequences Creed
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
and going back to all of that. So I always liked him. Biggie, I didn't care nothing about. So just being honest, like I didn't see
Mm-hmm.
much of him. Like NXT at the time, wasn't on our radar so much.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was with Dolph for a little while, so it's kind of like, yeah.
Hmm.
But when they first did the preacher thing, I was like, same thing. Kurt Franklin. Oh, now we're going down the Kurt Franklin thing, right? What are we doing?
Correct.
What are we doing? And you start to see this, but like you said, the .com stuff. Though a lot of talents realized we have a lot of leeway here. We
Yeah.
don't have a time. We can do whatever we want to do. And I give Miz and Morrison credit for that. Because if you go back to their show that was on .com long before we had podcasts and all this other
Mm.
stuff, that's where they started to get over.
That's a good
And
point.
Miz and Morrison are the
Yeah.
ones who said,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're gonna take." That's before
Very true.
Z Long Island Story, all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. They said, "Let's take this thing to another level and let's do whatever we want to do. Nobody's listening to it anyway." And they started catching attention. So then I think that's where the crux of utilize.com the best you can. Then
Mm-hmm.
you start moving forward, and I think New Day took it to a next level.
Hmm.
The nice thing about New Day, I think they realized, oh, we got Kofi who has some veteran credibility, so we can
Right.
take some risks that we
Mm-hmm.
probably wouldn't be able to take if it was just
Hmm.
Xavier and Big E. Um, but then when they started doing these things, even to this day, I still look at Kofi. I'm like, is this the same dude? Like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
he always had personality, but he didn't have that.
Right.
And
Hmm.
this his dance and everything, and I felt like Big E brought that out. I feel like
Definitely.
the glue is Xavier.
Yes.
I feel
Yeah.
like he's the one that's like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. And then Big E takes it to the next level, and Kofi kind of rolls with him and takes his stuff to the next level, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's the glue and the foundation is Xavier. The personality that brings everything out is Big E.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
They even
Hmm.
said that Kofi has said multiple times that it was being paired with Biggie and Xavier that lit a fire in him. It
Hmm.
relit a fire
Right.
because he's pretty much just floating around on the roster
Hmm. Hmm.
before then.
He's a mid card, upper mid card guy for forever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Not even upper really at that point.
yeah, he was just floating around. Like
Yeah.
after Air Boom,
Yeah.
it just went flat. It just went super flat.
Yeah. For sure. And I mean, he's kind of just like wasting away. He was at ECW for a little while. Then he's on main event all the time, or whatever
Mm-hmm.
that's or whatever we had. But no, that they're hilarious.
Yeah.
And I think when you realize how funny they are when you see like JoJo's reaction,
Yeah, yeah,
and when you see,
exactly.
and even to this day, you
She was
see that
always
person.
fodder for them, by the way.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but then it becomes Kayla, right? Now Kayla
Yeah.
later on, Kayla becomes that person. They start
Tom
to connect with
Phillips for
certain
a
people,
while.
and they just start. Oh, here's where we're gonna go with that. We always talk about the most successful characters are extension of you.
Definitely.
I think that's an extension of them. When they talked about the power of positivity, if you listen to podcasts or anything with
Mm-hmm.
them, you don't never hear them negative about nothing.
No,
Nah.
no.
Even
No.
taking chances. I mean, you hear Xavier be like, "Hey, I was going to get fired anyway, so hey, we're just going to do this and we're going to have fun with it and all that."
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've never heard him talk negative about
Right.
TNA. I've never heard him talk negative about
Mm-mm.
NXT. I never heard him talk negative about anything. Same thing with Kofi,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that they are all three truly positive people.
I had to choose between several clips, including a 12-minute clip where they're doing stand up slash improv down to they're dapping up
I think I know what you're
the
talking
maintenance
about.
guy or the popcorn
Yeah,
guy,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and dude like yes baby like, and he just grows through like yeah that guy too. But speaking to your and Greg, like yeah, they're like they all seem like genuinely like fun people, and I'm sure these long car rides, if you don't get along with
Mm,
who you're around, you're gonna be switching up cars real soon. But
Definitely.
something to that effect, something that came from all this, from all their success, that later on was from true life friendship between Woods and Kenny Omega, was something that I never expected to happen, and it happened at E3, which doesn't exist anymore. But they did a crossover using Street Fighter, right?
Yeah.
Under like their side, like they're in New Japan, you know, the elite in New Japan, New Day are WWE, and they're on the stage, and like I'm fully expecting them to show up on Raw like that, you know, like the next week or something. Obviously, that never happens, but it was so cool
Yeah, and
because
I
you can
think
tell that
the fact that
Woods
he was given
just
up, down, down speaks
yeah,
volumes,
yeah,
and huge volumes as to, and the fact that not only has he had up, down, down, he has talent on there who are no longer under contract to WWE.
This is
100%.
man. That's
Shout
great
out
That,
to
point. Great
shout
point.
out to the party. They play Uno, and everybody works in a different company.
so I realized, and I was pulling for New Day from day one. It's one of those types of things, right? Like
Mhm.
usually, I'm like, man, I like these guys, so I'm pulling for you, but I don't know what you're doing, right? It's just, and if you remember, everybody's just booing the crap out of them, and it starts to turn around. And when I knew it turned around the most, I was at a Ring of Honor show. I think it was Ring of Honor. It was a show in Gwinnett, which is a county here. It's outside of Atlanta. In the parking lot afterwards, everybody's honking their horns and yelling "New Day rocks!" Like, dude,
Nice.
No
dude, dude,
way.
dude. And like it's just organic. Like through the parking lot, people are honking their horns, and people are like, "New Day rocks!" And we're like at a Ring of Honor show, and so everybody's leaving, and I'm like, "Oh wow, they have turned it around." Because when you've won this audience over, especially like
Locked
that,
in.
with that type of a chant and everything, I was like, "Oh yeah, you got them." And there was no reason. It's just you're sitting in the parking lot and somebody did it one time on their horn
Yeah,
and it just went, and it
yeah,
was crazy.
It's contagious, man.
100%.
It's
Hmm.
very
Very,
contagious.
yeah. Reminds me of the Fandango, the everybody
Hmm.
humming that, and then more recently, WrestleMania 2023 in LA, first night, Kevin Owens and Zayn win the title, right? And you know, Zayn had that comedic timing, right?
Definitely.
And what is the crowd singing? They're singing Sami Zayn's
Hmm.
theme song as they're walking out of the stadium.
Mhm.
Incredible, incredible.
If you haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, look us up on socials at Suplex Dinner Club. And be sure to check out our other projects. We talk college football on Dogs versus All Y'all. That's a weekly college football podcast where we don't just talk about the Georgia Bulldogs, we talk about all things college football. The Life and Times Pod, which is short for the Life and Times of a Restaurant Lifer podcast, where I have some chill conversations with some cool and interesting people that I've met in my years in the hospitality industry. And of course, check out Talk 'em in the Building. That's a pro wrestling podcast where we solely focus on the promo. We talk about the talkers, we hype the hype man, and we pontificate on the promo. It's a fun project, and if you're a pro wrestling fan, I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. If you're into TV and movie reviews, check out Four Corners Cinema with Ari and Adrian, a podcast where two lifelong pro wrestling fans review film and other forms of media that just so happen to have some of our favorite pro wrestlers. The Suplex Dinner Club family is growing, and I would love for you to be a part of it.